Over this series, we've shown that politicizing abortion is based in the patriarchal tradition of controlling women and people who can get pregnant to preserve the power of the anti-abortion coalition and to ultimately organize them around a certain political candidate or party. But with the green wave, things are beginning to shift.
The SB8 decision that came out of Texas, which restricted abortion care and was a ban on abortion, and also the aiding and abetting clause, definitely sort of just triggered that conversation. People have been terminating their pregnancy since the beginning of time. It just hasn't been a part of the mainstream conversation.
Historically, there's been a lot of U.S. exceptionalism. It's like human rights pertains to places outside of the U.S. We got this, right? And of course, we see that that's not really true.
In the first year after the Dobbs decision, at least 210 pregnant people faced criminal charges for conduct associated with pregnancy, abortion, pregnancy loss, or birth. These statistics are only likely to increase, especially among Latinas, unless we drastically change course, starting with who we elect as our next president. Hey, Monica.
Hi, Asha. Welcome to the final episode of this season of ENTONCES. In this episode, we are in the U.S., where a presidential election could determine if the country will continue to roll back human rights or if we'll have the opportunity to move forward.
The work that we must do is about understanding healthcare is a right and should not just be a privilege of those who have access to it.
So it's a choice between the anti-abortion former president and potentially the first Black and South Asian woman who is the most pro-choice candidate the U.S. has ever had.
Am I a child supposed to carry and birth another child?
One of the most exciting aspects of this upcoming election is the huge number of young people voting. In fact, there are about 41 million Gen Z eligible voters this cycle.
Young Latino voters specifically.
The Latino electorate has grown massively in the last couple of decades. Abortion rights were the number 2 issue for Latino voters back in 2022. We saw that those folks who were prioritizing abortion rights as a top concern were much more likely to turn out in the election than folks who were prioritizing other issues. The impact of the Dobbs decision could not really be overstated. Over 60% of Latino voters rejected the Dobbs decision. Latino women are really the driving force of the Latino electorate. There are Latino men who are maybe undecided about how they're going to vote, but they're not unclear about where they stand on the issue of abortion rights.
Thanks to the work of Equis, we know the power of the Latino vote this cycle is going to be pivotal for abortion rights.
Las Libres somos una organización feminista que trabajamos por los derechos humanos de las mujeres. Un foco que tenemos muy fuerte es en aborto.
Vero and Las Libres help American women and women all over the globe have medication abortions. They do this by shipping out the World Health Organization gold standard for medication abortion.
Los periodistas de Estados Unidos empezaron a preguntarme, ¿Las Libres tiene capacidad para apoyar a todos los estados cuando Roe caiga? Y fuimos desarrollando una logística y poder garantizar abortos seguros en casa a miles de mujeres en Estados Unidos. En México hay redes de acompañamiento por todos lados. En el año 2009, de manera intencional, empezamos a formar redes en otros estados y muy rápido, las mujeres empezaron a contárselo a todo el mundo. El chisme salva vidas. El costo es gratis. El kit típico va a ser una mife, 6 misoprostol, 2 pastillas para dolor y extra pueden ser las toallas sanitarias, los tés y otros regalitos. Y una notita, no está sola.
It's the community aspect we've talked so much about, and it works on a global scale too.
Roopan has spent a lot of time in Latin America and has learned from organizations on the ground about what kind of reproductive care people need in restrictive states. And for about a year, she's been working to bring over some of the feminist movement to the US.
The whole mission and objective has been to really co-create and build digital solutions that go beyond pilot, that can integrate and intersect with the health systems and the existing feminist ecosystems to be able to support people to access quality abortion care the way that they want it. If we do not move the needle in places where the laws are the most restrictive and the countries in which there is a humanitarian crisis, then we're not going to move the needle around reproductive autonomy. We're not going to move the needle around maternal mortality and morbidity. A lot of these feminist groups and hotlines and accompaniment groups that we got to know and work with very closely taught us a lot. And they also were the ones that informed the design of Aya.
Aya Contingo is an app that Roopan created with the help from the feminist movement in Latin America. It provides resources for obtaining and using abortion pills. And the chat is staffed by professional counselors who walk users through the entire process.
I would say the heart and soul of what our accompaniment model is our Aya care team. That accompaniment truly is, it's like a sisterhood. And the vast majority of them do this as a volunteer. We're available 12 hours a day, 7 days a week.
I knew everything of quality of services related to reproductive health and abortion rights, and because I had learned that in Oriéntame, Colombia. And from then on, I met Catholics for a Free Choice, and I decided that that was my exact place to continue fighting for abortion rights.
There's a long history of religious leaders supporting abortion rights here in the United States.
Most of the members of Catholics for the Right to Decide today are young people. The other generation, Catholics, continues to have the same mission. We had to use media, we had to use characters, and we had to be able to translate the main messages that we were sending to the Catholic people. You are not guilty. Feminist theologies have been so important to break this idea that God is this burden.
This is an opportunity, now that we don't have Roe, to imagine something that is much more comprehensive and robust, that protects and advances decision-making, bodily autonomy, dignity of all pregnant people.
We saw the green wave emerge in Argentina, all the way to Mexico's northern border. And it's Latinos, Latinas who are crossing into the U.S. to share strategies and movements that really make a difference.
Because although many of us have been shocked and heartbroken by Supreme Court appointments, presidential elections, SB8, the Dobbs decision, the stories of women being forced to travel out of state to access a life-saving abortion, and women dying because they could not, the impact of the green wave will be hugely influential in continuing our efforts to fight forward here in the United States. It feels like there is hope.